ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा शील प्रभुपादा जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्याख्य अष्टोत्तर सदाशिव श्रीमती स्वयं शेष भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापकाचे शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्याख्य अष्टोत्तर सदाशिव श्रीमती स्वयं शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद लकोर किशोर दास महाराज की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद सच्चिदानंद शिल भक्तिविनोद ठाकुरा की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास षट गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कौशिक कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपकुंड श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। अमन माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णविंद की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय। इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरुवंद की समावेद भक्तवंद गौरव प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories Srila Prabhupada की जय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अपत्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिः. Hare Krishna. Welcome you all to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 22, Text 27. दग्धाशयो मुक्तसमस्ततद्गुणो नैवात्मनोपहिरन्तर्विचष्टे परात्मनोर्यद् व्यवधानं परस्तात् स्वप्ने यथा पुरुषस्तद्विनाशे दग्धाशयो मुक्तसमस्ततद्गुणो नैवात्मनोपहिरन्तर्विचष्टे परात्मनोर्यद् व्यवधानं पुरस्तात् स्वप्ने यथा पुरुषस्तद्विनाशे दग्धाशयो मुक्तसमस्ततद्गुणो नैवात्मनो बहिरन्तर्विचष्टे परात्मनोर्यद्व्यवधानं पुरस्तात् स्वप्ने यथा पुरुषस्तद्विनाशे. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinctions between actions executed externally and internally. At that time, the difference between the soul and the super soul, which was existing before self-realization, is annihilated. When a dream is over, there is no longer a distinction between the dream and the dreamer. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. As described by Sri Rupa Goswami Anya Vilashita Shunyam, one must be devoid of all material desires. When a person becomes devoid of all material desires, there is no longer need for speculative knowledge or fruitive activities. In that condition, it is to be understood that one is free from material body. The example is already given above. A coconut which is dry is loosened from its outward husk. This is the stage of liberation. As said in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.6, Mukti or liberation means Swarupena Vyavastitihi, being situated in one's own constitutional position. All material desires are present as long as one is in the bodily concept of life. But when one realizes that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, his desires are no longer material. A devotee acts in this consciousness. In other words, when material desires in connection with the body are finished, one is actually liberated. When one is liberated from the material qualities, he does not do anything for his personal sense gratification. At that time, all activities performed by him are absolute. In the conditioned state, there are two kinds of activities. One acts on behalf of the body, and at the same time he acts to become liberated. The devotee, when he is completely free from all material desires or all material qualities, transcends the duality of action for the body and soul. Then the bodily concept of life is completely over. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasagira nikilasu api avastasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. When one is completely fixed in the service of the Lord, he is a liberated person in any condition of life. He is called Jivana Muktaha, liberated even within this body. In such a liberated condition, there is no distinction between actions for sense gratification and actions for liberation. When one is liberated from the desires of sense gratification, he has no longer to suffer the reactions of lamentation or illusion. Activities performed by the karmis and jnanis are subject to lamentation and illusion. But a self-realized liberated person acting only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead experiences none. This is the stage of oneness or merging into the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that the individual soul, while keeping his individuality, no longer has separate interests. He is fully in the service of the Lord and he has nothing to do for his personal sense gratification. Therefore, he sees only the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not himself. His personal interest completely perishes. When a person comes out of a dream, the dream vanishes. While dreaming, a person may consider himself a king and see the royal paraphernalia, his soldiers, etc. But when the dream is over, he does not see anything beyond himself. Similarly, a liberated person understands that he is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, acting in accordance with the desire of the Supreme Lord, and as such there is no distinction between himself and the Supreme Lord, although both of them retain their individuality. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chetananam. This is the perfect conception of oneness in relation to the super soul and the soul. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupakata Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrjatam Sakana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गौविका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वशपानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मोहम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघे दीर्घमेत्कपादं महम्मदे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्री चैतन्यम् ईश्वरं नमो पुष्पाद कृष्ण प्रसाद Hare Krishna. So here we see Prithu Maharaj is meeting the four Kumaras and their discussions. Prithu Maharaj is pointing out that when a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinction between actions executed externally and internally. Of course, there's some more. We'll go through the important points now. Now, we perform a lot of external activities through our senses, some with our hands, some with our legs, some with our eyes, some with our ears, and these are called external activities. And then we also perform, now these activities we perform because we have material desires. And we are in the material world, the desires don't stop. On the other hand, the desires flow just like waves in the ocean, keep on continuing. By the time one desire is fulfilled, you have a lineup of 10 desires. By the time two desires are fulfilled, you have 20 desires coming in. This is how the material world is. In fact, it is created in a way that we should not have, we should realize and see that we don't have material desires. That's what this sloka particularly says that. And also we should become, because we have material desires, Lord has given us some qualities. Lord has got a lot of qualities, and being a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we also have those qualities in a minute form. So using those qualities is very important, but depends on how one uses it. One may use it for spiritual purposes, in which the qualities also transcend the three modes of material nature. One may use it for personal sense gratification, by which one develops material qualities. So the point is that we must reach a stage that we use everything in Krishna's service, external, internal, everything. So at that stage, there is nothing like external and internal, because everything is done for the service of the Lord. Now we have to differentiate between external, internal, and all these activities, because we perform both the activities. Some may be performing only devotional service, who have then transcended the three modes of material nature. Some may be performing material activities also, and then some may be performing spiritual activities also. So these are the two kinds of activities that everyone performs. Of course, many don't know what is a spiritual activity, so they may be worshipping some demigod and saying that they are doing spiritual activity, which is not true. And some may be performing only material activities. So these are activities that keep us bound in this material world. So one has to transcend these, and when one transcends, then one is situated in a spiritual platform, even in this material body, in this material world. So what are the conditions for that? That we will discuss. And when this happens, one is able to see the soul as well as the super soul. Now, by nature, the soul is transcendental, because it is a part and parcel of the supreme soul, or the super soul. The super soul is also above the three modes of material nature, and being a part and parcel, the soul is also transcendental by nature. But because it is engaged, not engaged, encaged in a material body, we have to utilize this material body, and due to lack of knowledge we may be utilizing it for material activities, whereas they all have to be situated on the platform of pure devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada gives an analogy that many people might see a dream, and in that same dream somebody might think I am a king, and he might see that I have so many followers, I have so many opulences, I have so many wives, I have so many jewelry, and all those, I have so many followers and so forth. But when a dream is over, the dream has no meaning at all. First and the foremost, dream itself is an illusion. Before that, we must understand that even this material world is not a reality. It is true, but it is not a reality. It's a illusory world. So everything is an illusion that we see. Relationships are illusion. Activities are also illusion, but they all can be dovetailed in the service of Krishna and brought to reality. So after the dream is over, the dreamer also, the dreamer also is awake. So the dream has no meaning. Dream has no meaning, and the person who saw the dream also has no purpose. So Srila Prabhupada mentions about a quote from Bhakti Rasamrita Sundhu, which is a very nice quote Srila Prabhupada always gives in many of his classes. It says that it gives a description of what pure devotional service, which is what everyone has to try and attempt. The verse is Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. The translation is, when first class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires, then knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy, and fruitive action. The devotee must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. So we'll understand some important points from this sloka itself, which Srila Prabhupada has referred to. So one is that I mentioned about material desires. But when we reach a platform of performing pure devotional service, now we may be generally performing mixed devotional service. Mixed devotional service means we may be performing devotional service, but at the same time we may be having a desire for some results. Some may be thinking that I will do this and I will get a good job. Some may be thinking that I will do this devotional service and my son or daughter will get married. Some may be thinking that I will get a position in devotional service itself. That also is a desire which keeps us bound. So one must not have any desires, but rather reach a stage of pure devotional service which is devoid of all material desires, and also which is also devoid of knowledge obtained by monistic philosophy. This monistic philosophy is one that generally jnanis have. They think that they have become Lord, one with the Lord. They think they have become Lord. So it is very important in this purport we must understand what is that oneness. We will come to that next stage. And the third is that fruitive action. So generally people perform devotional service either with fruitive activities, like I said, they have some material desires, or they may be mental speculators, so they may be thinking they may be speculating on that I am also God. There are many who worship people as God. They say Aham Brahmasmi, you are God, I am God, everyone is God. They worship even a dog as a God. So, and the third class of people are who have perform a lot of devotional service, but then at the same time they have some spiritual desires which may not be compatible with the progress in devotional service. Like I mentioned, somebody may be thinking I must get a position this here, there as a leader and so forth. All these are desires that will keep us bound. The Lord may fulfill those desires, but then the thing is that we must reach a platform of pure devotional service, that is Anya Vilashita Shunyam. That should be without any expectation of results. Now, one might think why I should perform devotional service. I mentioned at the beginning of the class that we as a soul are a part and parcel of the Supreme Soul. The Lord is situated in our heart as Paramatma, observing everything, our thoughts, actions, feelings, everything He is keeping on observing. And He is seated next to our soul. And being very situated so close, we have forgotten Him. So we must understand that the Lord wants Everyone, we are all his children, and he also says in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana Bhavad Mat Bhakto Madhyami Vam Namaskuru. Everyone should become his devotee, not the devotee of a demigod. Everyone should engage in devotional service. That is very important, because ultimately all that activities that we are doing are done with one motive, that we should engage in devotional service. That service is very important. It is not just devotion, it's a devotional service, which is a very nice term that Srila Prabhupada has coined. So everybody must engage in devotional service, including Vachana in the temple. One can worship the Lord in the house also by having some photos or murtis and so forth. And one can offer obeisances and so forth, and this way worship the Lord. And that is our constitutional position. So the Lord also wants those who are doing this service to give this message to others, so that they are, because everyone is in ignorance. Before we came to Krishna consciousness, we also didn't know who is God, who are demigods, who am I, nothing. So we have come to know this truth and reality. So the Lord wants us to give this information to others also. So those who are hearing, they should pass on this message to others, by which they become very, very dear to the Lord. The Lord himself says, there is no one more dear to me than one who gives this message, this message of Bhagavad Gita to the others. Krishna wants us to undertake this service, which is also a process of purification for us. Now, for undertake this, we must also accept a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master who is coming in the disciplic succession. So when one takes this, then the spiritual master guides his disciple as to what he should do, how he should do, how he should spread Krishna consciousness, and so forth. Because a spiritual master is a bona fide, transparent representative of the Lord. Is an external manifestation of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. So one has to reach a stage where he does everything only for the satisfaction of Krishna. That should be his only motive, and that will be fulfilled by the instructions of the spiritual master. And devotional service is something that comes from bhakti, that comes from devotional service. That is, bhakti leads one to bhakti. Now, we all have started at some stage, and by practicing bhakti, bhakti is such that it increases one's bhakti. The more you perform, the more bhakti also encourages you to perform bhakti, in such a way that at some point of time we develop attraction for the Lord, and we realize that whatever material activities we see or material objects we see, they are nothing but an illusion. I'm sure by now those who at least taken up the process of chanting would have started realizing that what we see in this material world are an illusion only. For example, our relationships, we may have so many relationships, but they are all temporary in nature. When we say temporary, this birth we may be having somebody as father, mother. In the previous birth, we have had so many fathers, mothers. In the next birth, we may be having somebody else as father, mother, somebody else as a child, and so forth. So that is why it is said that all these relationships are true for that birth only, but in reality it's an illusion. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example that pure devotional service, when one reaches, it is like a coconut which is dry. That means one becomes free of all material desires, and then the shell comes out of the coconut. That is the stage of pure devotional service. When we attain these pure devotional services, then what happens is that three things happen. One is that we may see objects of sense gratification. For example, a person might see beautiful objects and he looks at it to be very, very beautiful for his senses. For example, somebody is walking down the street, he sees something, jalebi, gulab jamun or jalebi, which look very, very tasty. He wants to satisfy his palate, so he feels that he should have it. Now, this is at the initial stage when one has not even begun devotion service. But as one practices devotion service, one comes to understand that one must take only Krishna Prasadam, and one can satisfy that desire by honoring Krishna Prasadam. Same desire is there, but then uh, the person might see the same gulab jamun or rasagula in the store, but he does not look at it as an object of sense gratification. Rather, if he feels like he manages to get prasadam of the same thing from the temple or from home, he can have it made, and he does not desire for any sense gratification, but the object of sense gratification remains as it is. He is transcendental. That means if he doesn't have that gulab jamun, he is not affected by it. Even after coming to devotional service, there are many people. In fact, when Srila Prabhupada preached the Krishna conscious movement in the Western countries, he made the gulab jamun, rasgulla, and all those things, and many Westerners got tempted, and they came to Krishna conscious movement only by tasting this sweet. And they used to come and ask Srila Prabhupada, please give me more, give me more. But then later on, Srila Prabhupada said one should not be addicted to it, because otherwise you will be attached to that. One should not have developed an attachment for anything, even if it is prasadam. Whatever is there, one should be transcendent to that, neither develop attachment nor develop hatred. That is pure devotion service. So three things happen when one practices pure devotion service. First thing is that the same objects of sense gratification may be there, because objects will not be disappear, but then one utilizes everything in devotion service. So he uses everything in service of the Lord. Another important point in this loka is that he does not have any more internal disturbances. When we say internal disturbances, everyone has got something called vasana, janma vasana. That means we have practices, we have habits that we have developed over a period of many births. Now these habits don't develop in one birth. We have developed in the process of many births. And when we practice devotional service, we can realize that we have overcome many of these anarthas. For example, some may be feeling maybe getting a lot of anger. Now this anger has not developed in one birth, it might have developed over many births. But then as we start practicing devotional service, we also realize that I'm able to overcome a lot of anger. But it is possible also still some residue might be left out. It has not gone off completely. But when one reaches pure devotional service, he does not have any more of janma vasana, or rather he is not disturbed by any janma vasana. And the third thing is that when he reaches the stage of pure devotion service, he is in a position to see the soul as well as the super soul. Now, here we must understand the difference between monism and this aspect of it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given a wonderful explanation of this concept. That means we are able to see, here the Sri Prabhupada mentions about oneness with the Supreme Lord. When we say oneness with the Supreme Lord, this explanation is given in detail in teachings of Lord Chaitanya also, in the Nectar of Devotion also, where it mentions that we are all one in quality with the super soul. That means in terms of quality, we have that oneness with the super soul, the soul, not the body. But in terms of quantity, the Supreme Lord is full, whereas our quantity is very, very minute. So this is where the oneness and difference comes, which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stated as simultaneously one and different. That means we are one with the Lord, and at the same time we are different from the Lord in terms of quantity. So quality wise we are one with the Lord, but that oneness with the quality of the Lord can also be realized only when one reaches the platform of pure devotion service, not otherwise. Otherwise we don't even realize the soul. So three things happen when one practices pure devotion service. First thing is the objects of sense gratification may be there, but then it does not create a disturbance for the person practicing devotion service. Second thing is, due to janma vasanas, many anarthas might be there. Still these anarthas would have vanished by performing devotion service, pure devotion service. And third thing is, at that stage one is able to see the Lord in the heart. Lord is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma or the super soul. And when one performs pure devotion service, he is able to see the Lord as the super soul in the heart. So these are three things that happen. So it happens by the process of pure devotional service, by which the subtle body is destroyed. That means mind and intelligence and false ego does not work anymore on material platform. And he also realizes that this material world is just like a dream. It is an illusion. It is true, but it has no reality. So at this stage, the sense objects don't put any pressure on the practitioner of devotion service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, one of the acharyas in our parampara, he says that one can see the Paramatma without any obstacles when one reaches the stage of pure devotion service. So this is also the stage what is called liberation. Liberation means when one is situated in its constitutional position, then one is liberated from all material desires and all material qualities. That is the reference for this today's particular sloka. So when one is liberated from all material qualities, he does not have any desire for personal sense gratification. At that time, whatever activities one performs is all for the satisfaction of the absolute truth. So when one reaches the platform of devotional service, all his material, he transcends the duality of action for the body and the soul. That means we all have duality. One duality is the body and the soul. We have two things. One is the body and the other one is the soul. But at the stage of pure devotion service, one transcends this duality also, because everything is used in the service of the Lord. So one has transcended the bodily platform. So Srila Prabhupada mentions about Srila Rupa Goswami's quote, Iha yasya haredasya karmana manasa gira nikila swapi vastasu jevana mukta sa uchyate. Translation: when one is completely fixed in the service of the Lord, he is a liberated person in any condition of life. He is called Jivana Muktaha, liberated even within this body. In such a liberated condition, there is no distinction between actions for sense gratification and actions for liberation. So that means when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no difference, because he does everything for the service of the Lord. He doesn't have any personal desire for sense gratification. So he performs all activities only for liberation. At that time, he does not have to suffer anymore the reactions of lamentation or illusion. So he is Brahmabhuta Prasannatma na sochati na shankangshati. He has no more hankering and he has no more lamentation. Whereas activities performed by the karmis and jnanis are subject to lamentation and illusion. So this is what is called the stage of oneness, but many call it as merging into the absolute truth. There is nothing called merging into the absolute truth. One can enter the Brahma Jyoti, which is a glowing effulgence from the covering the body of the Lord, but one's individuality remains as it is. That means one can never merge his entity with the Supreme Lord. We are all separated part and parcels. There are two types of living entities, integrated part and parcel and separated part and parcel. Integrated part and parcel of the Lord are incarnations of the Lord, and the separated parcel of the Lord are jivas like us. We are all separated from the Lord. So we also are part and parcel, but we are separated. So when we reach that liberated stage, our individuality remains as it is. The soul remains as an individual only. It does not merge into the super soul. So that identity is there as an individuality. And when he's rendering service to the Lord, in terms of service or in terms of platform, there is a oneness. That means he has transcendental the material platform and reached the spiritual platform. So even in this material world, in this material body, when one is engaging all the time in the service of the Lord, and he becomes pure in his devotional service without any expectation, then that means he has already transcended the material body in this body itself. So all personal desires are vanishes, just as a dream vanishes when one wakes up. Similarly, when we perform with pure devotional service, we are already liberated and we become situated in pure devotional service. This is that oneness and different. So one achieves the oneness in quality with the Supreme Lord. That is what we mean by transcendental. So true oneness means everything is Krishna, because everything originates from Krishna. As you all by now may be knowing that everything, God himself means God is one from whom everything originates. So we are all emanations from Krishna, and because everything is originated from him, he is known as God. So they are Krishna's energies. We are all energies of Krishna. We are not Krishna. We are energy for Krishna. The body that we are built up of, that is earth, water, fire, air and ether, these are material elements. These also originate from Krishna, and Brahma only does the assembly part of it, giving the different body shapes of bodies to different living entities based on their karma and desire and so forth. And when everything originates from Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing belongs to us. Unfortunately, we take everything from Krishna, use it for sense gratification, and if we forget Krishna also, that is the most unfortunate part of it. And nothing can be independent of Krishna. Everything is dependent on him. If a person has to move his hand, for that also Krishna, he has to depend on Krishna. The Lord is the super soul, decides whether this particular person has to move his hand or not. That's why many cases we find paralysis and so forth. That means the Lord has decided based on one's karma that he should not move his hand or leg and so forth. So everything is dependent on Krishna, and all the energies that are there are meant to be utilized in the service of Krishna for Krishna's satisfaction. There are 2 points here. One is utilizing them in the service of Krishna. Whatever we have, we are meant to utilize it in the service of Krishna only. If we utilize it for our service, we are basically thieves. We are stealing the property from the Lord and utilizing it for our purpose. And then those things have to utilize for the service of Krishna as Krishna likes, not the way we like. For example, we take the example of same gulab jamun and rasgulla. We may be thinking that I'm offering everything to Krishna, but internally we may be having a desire that I must have rasgulla today, tomorrow I must have gulab jamun. That is a desire that we have. Initially it might be looking at it as a spiritual desire because you're offering to Krishna, but is it something that Krishna wants? That's what we must know. We must not have any desire, or we must not have any attachment for it. That means it should not reach a state that I'm not able to live without the gulab jamun or rasgulla. That's why it is said our desire should be for satisfaction of Krishna's desire. That is oneness and desire. That is at the stage of pure devotional service. So there is a quote in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, which says that pure devotional service is so relishable that a devotee automatically becomes uninterested in material enjoyment. That is a sign of perfection in achieving this pure devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami also mentions 6 points, 6 characteristics of pure devotional service in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I'll briefly go through that. He says pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress. That means when one performs pure devotional service, as I mentioned, we transcend the material platform. So even if some distress happens, one will not be affected by it. So Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned that one gets relief from all kinds of material distress. Second thing, he says that pure devotional service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Third thing is pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. So that means one is always situated in happiness by performing pure devotional service. And the next point is pure devotionalness is rarely achieved. I mean, it is not very easy to achieve this pure devotional service, but we must aim for it. If not in this birth, at least we hope that we will get it in some birth. We must have the desire, then the Lord will make arrangements to fulfill that also. Fifth point is those in pure devotional service derive even the conception of liberation. That means those who are in the platform of pure devotional service, they don't want even the liberation. Liberation means freedom from material miseries or becoming There are different types of liberations: Arupya, Sayujya, Sarmipya, Salokya, Shasti. Um, Sayujya is merging, which I explained. Shalokya is to be situated in the same planet of the Lord. Sarupya is having the same form as the Lord. Sayujya, Samipya, Shalukya. Shasti is having the opulence like the Lord. Pure devotees don't have any of these desires, excepting that they want to render devotional service to the Lord. And the sixth and final quality characteristic is pure devotion service is the only means to attract Krishna. That means only pure devotional service attracts Krishna, and otherwise any mixed devotional service, Krishna is not attracted by. These examples are like the gopis of Vrindavana, Mother Yashoda. They always wanted to keep Krishna happy, that's all, irrespective of whatever discomfort they may have to go through. For example, the gopis of Vrindavana or Mother Yashoda, their only desire was that Krishna should be satisfied. Another important quote that is mentioned is that Krishna is all attractive, but pure devotional service is such that it attracts even Krishna. This means that pure devotional service is even transcendently stronger than Krishna himself, because it is Krishna's internal potency. There is a quote in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam which is very important, which I'll mention. Fourth canto, third chapter, Srila Prabhupada mentions 23rd sloka purport. In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason and without being impeded by any material conditions. That is called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudeva Sattva, because in that stage, Krishna is revealed in the heart of a devotee. So Srila Jiva Goswami has very nicely described that this Vasudeva or Shuddha Sattva in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. There is a quote in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Just as a river flows on till it reaches the sea, similarly pure devotional service flows by the association of pure devotees of the Lord till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. So one can achieve this pure devotional service by association of pure devotees of the Lord. And such a flow of devotional service cannot stop. Nobody can stop pure devotional service. On the contrary, it increases more and more without limitation. The flow of devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. And these qualities of nature are thus removed, and the living being is liberated in his being situated in the original position. In the third canto, there is a mention of how the gopis of Vrindavana are the highest example of pure devotional service. In fact, they would leave everything at home, whether they be their husband or children, and the moment Krishna wants some service, they would run to satisfy Krishna. They are not interested even in understanding Krishna. That means they don't have an interest even to understand Krishna, but they want to only love him. That platform of love is a pure state of devotional service. And unless one is advanced to this stage of pure devotional service, there is a tendency to desire elevation to a higher material position. That means there are quote in the Shastra that even one may be in the Bhava platform. There are different stages of bhakti which we will not dwell into, but even at a high platform like Bhava, one is always exhibiting ecstatic symptoms like hair standing on the body and all. By one's service, one can fall from that platform if one does not reach pure devotional service. Some examples are given in the Shastra, like Bharat Maharaj was in a very high situation of bhakti, but he, to the extent that he left ashram, he left his family, his kingdom, everything, but unfortunately he became a victim by seeing a small tear cup. So that is why it is said one must be very careful from a deer and dear ones. That means DEER and DEAR also one should be very careful. A mixed devotee may desire to enjoy a comfortable life on another planet with a greater span of life, such as Brahmaloka. Many devotees who have an aspiration, I must go to Brahmaloka and so forth. These are all material desires. But because a mixed devotee engages in service of the Lord, ultimately after many, many lives of material enjoyment, he undoubtedly develops Krishna consciousness, and the symptom of this Krishna consciousness is that he is no longer interested in any sort of materially elevated life. He does not even aspire to become a personality like Lord Brahma. That means pure devotional service is a stage which comes after performing devotional service for many, many births. Uh, One example is given in the Srimad quote given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, is that the cowherd boys of Vrindavana, they got the opportunity to associate with Krishna, sit and eat with him and play with him after many, many lifetimes of devotion service. So this is what our goal should be, by which we transcend the material conditions and we become liberated, and we also achieve the platform where we are able to do everything in this for the satisfaction of Krishna only, not for any other desire. So with this I conclude the class for the day. Any of you has got any questions or any comments, they can ask me. Do any of you have any questions, comments on today's subject?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandat
Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam Mataji.
Prabhuji, very nicely explained, Prabhuji. But I have one doubt, Prabhu.
Yes,
You
please.
said no. You said no, Prabhu. If we are offering, means whatever we want to eat, that only we are preparing and offering to the Lord.
Yes,
That is in the first stage. It is like that. After
yes.
that, how we will know, Prabhuji, what Krishna likes?
Shastras describe what Krishna likes. You must be associated with a house program or connected to a temple where devotees can guide you, or your spiritual master can guide you as what Krishna likes. In fact, there is a Pancharatra Pradipa book given
Mm.
by ISKCON itself, which says on what day what item should be offered to Krishna. So this research has been done by the pure devotees of the Lord, and they have given these details. So if you can get hold of one of these books, that can give you an input on what Krishna likes.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Any other question? Is this clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? If not, I'll take the class as closed. Thank you all very much. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.